A single snowflake falls out of a gray sky. You have been looking up, searching the clouds for answers, and so the snowflake lands upon your forehead. You feel it, lightly tingling, twinkling light, like a star descended. You close your eyes, and suddenly you aren't worrying about the term middle-aged anymore, and instead are taken by delight that a snowflake would float down to you in this young moment when it could have gone so many other ways. And suddenly you are you again, the you were before all of this intelligence started that might explain away a snowflake with a word like chemistry. When we understood that a thing like a snowflake defies explanation, lives in mystery, before the cynicism set in and nothing mattered to us anymore, and we minimized beauty and pain and snowflakes and said, it is what it is, when everything mattered to us and anything could make us laugh. Before we started checking weather reports to make sure it wasn't going to snow on our schedule, when we had no plans and were happier for the lack. Before we worshipped convenience, when we remembered that everything magical happens at extremes, and nothing good is born apart from pain and cold. Before we looked for dollar signs behind carols, when we sang them sacred and free. Before we were told that faith is childlike and took it as a metaphor, when children don't use metaphors. Before we forgot how to listen to stories, or how to listen to anything, too caught up forcing our own words onto screens, when we would sometimes just sit cross-legged in front of the window, waiting. Before we took it as our duty to confiscate everyone's second chances, when every falling hint of ice tells us that all will always be made new. And suddenly, you aren't scared of soggy shoes anymore, but you are brave again. Brave enough to run red-nosed out into a whole blizzard of flakes, mouth open, heart open, hollering, packing balls and throwing them from sleds and gulping as much cold air as you can manage while you slide down that hill that feels like it's a mile long and so full of bumps. And later, you might build tunnels under drifts and make cities underground with castles in caves and be queens and kings of winter, leading caravans deep into mountains to find secrets by torchlight and feast on sweets and sing songs about dragons and friends. And you might just stay down there forever, popping up to the surface every now and then to make a snowman at midnight just to show everybody you're okay, and then burrowing back down to your true land. And when you open your eyes, the snowflake has of course melted, and it runs slowly down your forehead, drops to the side of your nose, and it comes down from your eyes inside a tear. And that tear feels like the realest thing to come from you in a while. And it reminds us as it falls that crying is a very important part of not growing up.